campaign to accept that, but it has to be paid before the marriage.
Once she make the vow, once she makes the vow, she can't add nothing on to it later on down the line. That's
Pardon?
it. She can't add nothing on to it later on down the line. That's it.
There's no more down the line. This is what has to be done before the marriage.
You know, Dr. Khalifa, what is the limitation of dowry?
Diana has a question.
In Ayat 228, it says, in case of pregnancy, a man's wishes shall be given priority over the woman's wishes. What does that mean?
It means a couple has been divorced, and then the woman discovers that she's pregnant. In that case, she tells the ex-husband, and he decides, since she's carrying his baby, that he wants to reconcile. The woman hates his guts. She doesn't want to go back to him. So the Quran is saying, in this case, she should give up her feelings and force herself to reconcile for the sake of the baby. And God will make it up to her in that case. It's a commandment. So I'm just exaggerating the situation. This is what it says. Is this what you understood?
Yes, in the case of divorcing 3 times, does that mean a verbal declaration of divorce of one woman, say, I divorce you, I divorce you, I divorce you, or something?
That's
Or does that mean that you can marry the same woman after divorcing her up until the 3rd time? Or
Divorce can be
remarried, you can be remarried.
twice. But the verbal utterance, are you in trouble, Abdullah?
Hey, I may be. I will.
I'm just kidding. A verbal utterance in anger does not count. Abdullah, if you say it in anger, you're fighting and arguing, and it doesn't count when you're just angry and you say you're divorced. That's not divorce. Divorce, you have to come to a conclusion that your life together is not working, and really you must part, and so forth. So then you break apart, and she goes to her mother, and you live apart. That's divorce. But in anger, people say it because they're angry. So it doesn't mean divorce.
Actually, the question goes back to
Right. Right. In other words, it takes thinking and conviction. No. The 226, the waiting period, the cooling off period is 4 months before you make a final decision. And after the 4 months, you can say, go through with it, or you say, no, we're going to reconcile. And God loves that, to reconcile. From the time of separation, the idea is to clear the whether there is pregnancy, or whether it is the first husband or the new husband. So the interim starts from the time of separation, physical separation. If there are 3 menstruations, the interim is 3 menstruations. Then the woman is sure there is no baby from the previous husband.
how about
So the
the
determining factor here is the time, the moment of separation.
widow has to wait 4 months and 10 days. Why is it?
Widows. This is the official mourning period in Quran. Mourning. The minimum mourning, sadness, period of sadness. A minimum period of honoring the dead husband. You had a question about the dowry.
Yeah, go back to the dowry. Is there any minimum limit for the dowry, or if the dowry has to be
money or something. It can be anything.
Anything of value.
Well, if the, I mean, there is no limit in the dowry. If the woman comes to tell her husband that you are my slave entire your life, what can you do?
He agrees. As long as the two of them. As long as they both agree on it.
I don't know who it was.
Let's hear the question.
It was his old chef, you know, and I don't know if he had this feeling, I do, but it was highly recommended, and I mean, everybody listens to this guy. He's you know, but it's highly recommended that the dowry should be something like not up to $5, but not over $10 as much as money value.
That's a hadith.
So that was Muhammad Ahmed.
Yeah, Muhammad.
The price of a wife in Libya now is $60,000. Linda is holding. Linda is holding an. Oh, you know. You have the note, Linda?
You
I
gotta
got
set up
two daughters, I'm getting ready to get rich.
all the sisters be running over Libya now.
Can you take the Quran as a dowry?
Saudi Arabia, it's $100,000 now.
$100,000
Yes.
in American money?
Yes. And last month the king issued.
That sounds like that's out of hand.
The king issued a decree to lower the dowry because the Saudi men were going outside of Saudi Arabia to get married.
I mean, that means you gotta work for the woman.
It means you gotta be a slave just to have a wife.
So, and as a matter of
That's the
fact,
form of Bible worship.
as a matter of fact, they sometimes they will say, okay, you will accept $10,000 if you sign a $1 million note in case of divorce. So this you force the husband never to divorce his wife. There are all kinds of playing around there. But the laws are stated in Quran very clearly. They call it advance and arrears.
But it has to be between the man and woman who marries, right? But over there in Turkey, it handled by the parents of the man and woman.
Everything is.
Yeah.
Okay, we have 5 more minutes for questions. We're going to stop right here. These are the divorce laws. I see they're very clear, self-explanatory, and very detailed.
Another question.
Yeah.
Why did you connect the verse 34 and 35?
Because it deals with the widow.
Yeah, 34 and 35 because it's specified. It says.
Yeah, it does. It's connected with the widow. You're in trouble after that.
About the divorce again, I heard in some in fact with many people do the divorce with 3 times.
Yeah.
He said that, literally.
Yeah. That's not divorce. That's one if he means it. Yeah. If he thought about it, then he has to wait 4 months before the decision is final.
So there is no such thing as a divorce with 3 times. That's one.
No. The idea is that a man and a woman are married and the marriage doesn't work, so they go apart. Then they reconcile and they live together for a while, and then it doesn't work out, so they break apart. That's two. Then they say, well, let's try again, and they reconcile, and they're together for another year, and then they break apart. So God is saying, you guys are not good for each other, I want to try somebody else. So on the fourth time, she has to marry somebody else. And of course, there are lots of movies about this in the Middle East, because it happens in real life and in movies that there's a couple that they had 3 divorces, and now she has to marry somebody else, according to the Quranic law. So they say, okay, let's go out in the street and find some drunk bum or something and get him to marry you, and then and this will fulfill the requirements. So they go out in the street and find the first transient or some bum sitting on the sidewalk or something. They bring him in and they bring the judge, and he marries the divorcee. And of course they are guarding him all night, to make sure that he's not commencing the marriage. The movies come in where this bum all of a sudden becomes very smart and he says, no, I'm not going to divorce her. She's my wife. And then all the problems that arise from that. So the movie goes on and on. But it does happen in real life, actually.
But, if this rule goes for the woman too, if man dies, that usually the case that the woman, let's say that the woman died, the man has to wait 4 months, 10 days. It doesn't account for that.
The man doesn't get pregnant.
No, this is about
The idea is to clear any baby. You have to know who the father is.
I thought it was about the mourning.
The man doesn't have to. There's no incentive for the man. In fact, the man can have 10 other wives on the side. I must go back and talk and mention that those people who try to deceive, get around the Quranic laws, are only deceiving themselves. Because you must follow God's commandments out of conviction, not try to get around them. Okay, if there are no more questions, we'll end this and we'll pray Isha. We're going to